On this Wednesday night, Donald Trump meets the press. The atmosphere bit circus-like, the messages very serious. The U.S. president blasting Canada on NAFTA while squarely supporting his choice for the Supreme Court. But with hours to go before the hearing, more accusers are coming forward.
Also tonight, why the transfer of a prisoner dominated the political conversation in Ottawa.
And when your house is the center of a serial murder investigation, you'll hear from the woman who lives where Bruce McArthur is alleged to have buried his victims, waiting to reclaim her privacy. This is The National. Donald Trump, brash, uncensored, and untethered to the truth. You've heard it before, but today he surpassed even himself in a rambling stream of consciousness news conference where the insults were flying. And among his targets, Canada, NAFTA, our chief negotiator, and the Prime Minister. The CBC's Katie Simpson looks at what it may mean days before the latest deadline.
Did you reject a one-on-one meeting with the Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau?
Yeah, I did.
Why?
Because his tariffs are too high and he doesn't seem to want to move, and I've told him, forget about it.
Donald Trump is making trade tensions deeply personal, using insults, hyperbole, and threats. The president took fresh aim at Canada and the Foreign Affairs Minister leading the Canadian NAFTA negotiating team.
And frankly, we're thinking about just taxing cars coming in from Canada. That's the mother lode. That's the big one. We're very unhappy with the negotiations and the negotiating style of Canada. We don't like their representative very much.
Trump's words may sting, but the Canadians are brushing it off. A senior official tells CBC News they see the comments as a negotiating tactic and that no request was ever made for a one-on-one meeting with the president.
We continue to have regular conversations whenever necessary, whenever we want to.
The Prime Minister is downplaying any suggestion his relationship with Trump is difficult, especially after cameras captured what appeared to be a snub at the UN yesterday, with the president not standing to shake Justin Trudeau's hand.
He was rereading his notes for his speech, the toast he was about to give. It was an interaction like so many are in UN, quick but cordial.
Trudeau had said NAFTA talks were likely to take place on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly. But after 2 days in New York City, there are no signs the trading partners are any closer to an agreement, even though the U.S. has set a deadline to get a deal done by the end of the month. Canada's ambassador to the U.S. told an audience in Toronto he sees a 50-50 chance of reaching that deadline.
I think it's really a question of whether or not the U.S. wants to have a deal.
Trump appears to want a deal, posing his own question of whether or not Canada wants in.
It'll be United States and Mexico.
Yes or no?
Canada will come along. Now, if Canada doesn't make a deal with us, we're going to make a much better deal.
CBC's Katie Simpson joins us now for another twist in this story. Just days away now from this NAFTA deadline, Katie, what do we think these comments are going to do to the mood in the negotiating room?
These discussions are already uncomfortably tense and very difficult, so it certainly is not going to help things whatsoever behind the scenes. And anytime there's an escalation in the public rhetoric like this, it makes it difficult for either side to really back down. Negotiators from Canada and the U.S., they are exhausted. This has been going on for 13 months now, and there's a sentiment starting to build in Ottawa that there is frustration that this is taking so long because so many of the big brains on Parliament Hill, some of the smartest minds in government, they are focused solely on this, and other issues that might need some attention aren't getting the attention they necessarily need. So there is a recognition they want this done soon, but whether they're going to meet that deadline, unclear.
Okay, the CBC's Katie Simpson in Ottawa tonight. Thanks, Katie.
Okay, so much tension there, but Canada and NAFTA were not the main topics for the president. He spent a lot of time talking about the storm surrounding his embattled Supreme Court pick, Brett Kavanaugh. Now, tomorrow, both Kavanaugh and his first accuser, Dr. Christine Blasey Ford, will testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee, even as the number of sexual misconduct allegations against him grows. And that's where Paul Hunter tries to pick up the thread.
shielded from view almost by a security guard's umbrella, Brett Kavanaugh today heard from number 3, a third woman accusing him of sexual misconduct in decades past. Julie Swetnick's tale, made public today, is vivid, specific, and horrifying. In a sworn affidavit, she says that at multiple house parties near Washington in the early 80s, she witnessed efforts by Kavanaugh and others to cause girls to become inebriated and disoriented so they could then be gang raped by a train of numerous boys. Drinks were spiked, she says, so girls wouldn't say no. The boys lined up outside rooms waiting for their turn with a girl. These boys included Brett Kavanaugh. Swetnick follows 2 others now telling tales of misconduct in Kavanaugh's past. Christine Blasey Ford says he sexually assaulted her at a drunken party in '82. Deborah Ramirez says he exposed himself and forced sexual contact on her in '83 or '84.
I think it's ridiculous.
Trump today also called the latest accusation a disgrace and a con job.
Are all 3 women lying?
What's your next question?
Everybody says.
Other Republicans went further.
Here's what I think. If you went to a party once where people were being drugged and gang raped, you wouldn't go to the next 9. That you would tell somebody, and that you have an obligation, if you see people being abused, to come forward and say something about it, if not for yourself, for them. So I'm very suspicious of this.
As it stands, neither Swetnick nor Ramirez will testify before U.S. senators assessing Kavanaugh's worthiness for the Supreme Court. Ford will testify tomorrow, followed by Kavanaugh, who denies all of it. Today, he said Swetnick's accusation is from the Twilight Zone. Later, he released his opening statement for tomorrow on Ford's allegation. I was not perfect in those days, he'll say, just as I'm not perfect today. I drank beer. Sometimes I had too many. I said and did things in high school that make me cringe now. But that's not why we're here. It ends with, I am innocent.
Because hopefully this is going to go very well on Thursday.
Said Trump tonight he still backs Kavanaugh, but like the rest of the country, he awaits tomorrow's testimony.
Now, it's possible I'll hear that and I'll say, hey, I'm changing my mind. That is possible.
And tonight, Adrian, word that a 4th woman and possibly a 5th has come forward. On the 4th, NBC News is reporting she describes a night in 1998 when Kavanaugh was in his early 30s after a night of drinking at a bar here in D.C., shoving her, quote, very aggressively and sexually against a wall. She says she has witnesses, including her daughter. Kavanaugh was reportedly asked about that latest allegation by Republican senators yesterday. He denied it.
So, Paul, yes, this official Senate hearing is tomorrow. So much of this obviously playing out publicly now. More, as you said, emerging about Brett Kavanaugh. But Christine Blasey Ford is also getting her thoughts out tonight, it seems.
Indeed. This is a copy of her opening statement tomorrow. It's mostly stuff we know already, but in succinct, stark, ugly terms. She talks about that night we've heard about, the high school party with, as she describes him, Brett Kavanaugh, the boy who sexually assaulted me. She describes the assault, how she feared for her life, how it's haunted her, and how, since going public with it, out of a sense of civic duty, she says, she and her family have faced death threats. She is terrified. Tomorrow, Ford will say all of that and more, and then take questions. Adrian.
Well, I know you'll be watching. Thanks very much, Paul. For a sense of how big a deal tomorrow will be and how it could mirror a similar hearing almost 30 years ago involving Justice Clarence Thomas, take a look at this. 2 letters to 2 women from different eras. One signed by 1,600 black women in support of Anita Hill, who accused Thomas of sexual harassment back in 1991. And one signed by 1,600 men in support of Christine Blasey Ford, posted in today's New York Times. Both with the same message: we believe you, we're behind you. And those 2 letters reinforce a running theme here that, yes, it's been a long time since 1991, but it's not exactly a whole new day. So here's a look at what's changed and what hasn't, with a little help from journalist Timothy Phelps, who helped break the Anita Hill, Clarence Thomas story way back when.
On several occasions, Thomas told me graphically of his own sexual prowess.
Anita Hill faced 14 senators in 1991, all of them men. Christine Blasey Ford will face 21 senators this time, all but 4 of them men. And 3 of those who questioned Anita Hill all those years ago will be there again tomorrow. Democrat Patrick Leahy and Republicans Chuck Grassley, who's chairing it, and Orrin Hatch, who now, as then, is skeptical.
Why did she wait 10 years? Why did she follow him to the next job?
I think it is a smear. I don't think there's any question in my mind.
In 1991, when all those men grilled Anita Hill relentlessly, that drew fierce criticism that lingers today. This time, Republicans have called in a female outside counsel, Rachel Mitchell, who will lead the questioning.
She clearly will be able to ask both sides more knowledgeable questions, more pertinent questions, than really the ridiculous set of questions that we had during the Anita Hill hearings.
In Anita Hill's day, sexual misconduct certainly wasn't talked about the way it is now. The Me Too movement of this generation has overwhelmingly changed the conversation.
And now, thanks to Anita Hill coming forward, everybody who works in a large company goes through sexual harassment training. And of course, we have the Me Too movement has really heightened the awareness just in the last year over the issues of sexual assault.
And tomorrow's Senate hearing with testimony from both Kavanaugh and Ford is expected to start at about 10 a.m. Eastern.
Here's a look at what else we're working on tonight. Experts say a simple metal bracket could make all the difference in saving a roof in the path of a tornado. We'll put the technology to the test.
And a little later, her landscaper was Bruce McArthur. Her home that she'd lived in all her life, suddenly the scene of a serial killer investigation. Our exclusive in-depth interview ahead.
First, though, the fierce political debate over where a convicted child killer is incarcerated. The kidnapping of 8-year-old Tory Stafford gripped people across the country a decade ago. Now, the treatment of one of the people who killed her has seized the opposition in Ottawa. She has been transferred out of maximum security prison and into an Aboriginal healing lodge. Catherine Cullen has the story.
Tory Stafford's death was horrific. The ugly political debate about her killer has left even the politicians themselves disgusted.
This is a terrible decision. It's despicable.
You know what offended me? Ralph Goodale calling this horrific crime bad practices. Where's the analysis on that? That is what is disgusting to Canadians.
The level to which the member opposite is playing politics with a terrible tragedy is yet again an example of the depths to which the members opposite continue to stoop.
The Conservatives' exploitation of this little girl's death is sickening.
The disappearance of the 8-year-old wearing a Hannah Montana t-shirt and butterfly earrings captured the country's attention. Terry Lynn McClintock pleaded guilty to first-degree murder in her death. Stafford's father says he recently learned McClintock had been transferred to an Indigenous healing lodge in Saskatchewan.
I was very upset. Very upset. She's getting it better in there than the majority of the people living on our own streets. And they haven't done anything wrong.
Yesterday, Public Safety Minister Ralph Goodale seemed to support the decision and referred to rectifying McClintock's, quote, bad practices.
These weren't bad practices. These were horrific crimes, and they deserve to be punished.
In a shift, Goodale now says he wants the decision reviewed by officials.
I want to clear up. Do you have the authority or the ability to be able to reverse the decision?
No, I don't have the ability to reverse the decision. I can ask the Commissioner of the Correctional Service of Canada to review, to ensure that the law and proper procedure have been followed.
An answer the Conservatives don't accept.
Why is this government and this Prime Minister not acting?
Though the Liberals counter that it was under a Conservative government, McClintock's security status was lowered to medium. Still, it's the transfer to this facility that seems to be provoking so much anger. The local First Nation chief says he hopes McClintock is a changed person.
There is no fence around the institution itself. So, like I said, we have to trust the decision on Corrections Canada. It's on them.
And it's now a choice that's being profoundly scrutinized. Catherine Cullen, CBC News, Ottawa.
Hydro Ottawa says it has finally restored power to everyone after 6 Tornadoes hit the Ottawa-Gatineau area last week, but officials warn it could still be weeks before some people can return home.
So we're in a hotel now, and we've arranged for an apartment for indefinite while we're waiting.
So that is just one of the hundreds forced to find somewhere to stay while city workers continue to try and clear the debris. Damages are expected to be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and relief organizations, the Salvation Army, the Canadian Red Cross among them, are coming together under a common banner to try and help victims through this. Now, it's hard to know if anything could have helped reduce the damage, but Canadian researchers are trying to figure out how to prevent destruction in the future. As Jacqueline Hansen explains, one small piece of metal could be part of the solution.
Metal brackets known as hurricane clips are one line of defense against extreme weather this builder believes in.
As you can tell, it's fairly windy today, but it gets quite windy here.
About 50 hurricane clips can help prevent a roof from flying off by individually securing each roof truss to the top of the wall.
It seems like a small piece to protect an entire roof.
Yeah, it's very small, but it's, if you can feel that, it's very, very rigid.
Each clip costs about $1 plus labor, but in this county, rebates cover that to encourage builders to use them because the clips aren't required in the building code anywhere in Canada.
Well, what we're looking for when
Engineering professor Greg Kopp wants hurricane clips to be mandatory to help make homes more resilient to tornadoes, like those last week in the Ottawa-Gatineau area.
Some roof damage in the area.
Kopp's student visited and documented the destruction.
One of the weakest links to a house under a severe windstorm is actually the whole roof coming off.
Tests in a high-tech wind tunnel using mini model homes have helped Kopp determine that a roof with hurricane clips is twice as strong.
The hurricane straps will work for up to EF2 tornadoes, maybe into EF3 range like we had in Dunrobin this past week.
But the Ontario Home Builders Association argues nail patterns already required by the building code are enough.
When we look at the building code from a principal position, it's about the minimum standard across Ontario. It's about adding things to that code that benefits everyone across Ontario.
We do many things beyond code requirements when we build homes.
For now, it's up to the home builders to decide whether to install hurricane clips or not. Jacqueline Hansen, CBC News, near Orangeville, Ontario.
Okay, let's get you up to speed on a developing story we're tracking live tonight. Canada's Competition Bureau launching an investigation into Ticketmaster.
We reached out to the Competition Bureau to really express the concerns that were raised to make sure that we have fairness and transparency when it comes to consumers.
That was Economic Development Minister Navdeep Bains today after a joint CBC News Toronto Star investigation revealed Ticketmaster is working with scalpers to resell millions of dollars worth of tickets. On top of the Competition Bureau investigation, Ticketmaster also faces a $250 million class action lawsuit. It was filed on behalf of Canadian ticket buyers. Ticketmaster has not yet responded to requests for comment.
What Canadians should know, the vulnerable especially, is that there is at least one very significant investigative operation underway at the moment.
Ottawa says it's making a move to crack down on phone scammers posing as agents with the Canada Revenue Agency, opening an investigation and also exchanging information with allies. The minister's comments follow a CBC News investigation that raised questions about what the RCMP was doing in response. More than 60,000 Canadians have complained and more than $10 million has been stolen.
Ahead tonight on The National, voters in New Mexico are poised to make history. Look at the potential power of the Native American vote in the upcoming midterms.
First, though, they deliver crucial survival information in the U.S. during any disaster. So why aren't sign language interpreters used more often here in Canada?
And police say Bruce McArthur's alleged victims were buried on her property. A little later, what it's like when your home becomes one of the country's most notorious crime scenes.
We didn't think they would find anything. And of course they did within hours. I guess our brains kept saying, there, it's done. There, we're fine now. But it just kept moving. More happened.
Over the past few years, Canada has been hit by one natural disaster after another. Each time, emergency officials scramble to get potentially life-saving information out to the public. But for people who are deaf or hard of hearing, it wasn't as accessible as it could have been. Cass Rusi has more on why signing during disasters can be so critical. And to help tell the story, she's joined by sign language interpreter Jennifer Hawkins.
When Hurricane Florence came barreling down the Carolinas on the U.S. coast, emergency services were at the ready.
Powerful rain bands may produce another 15 to 20 inches or more.
Federal agencies dispensed valuable and potentially life-saving information on emergency preparedness during television briefings. Every word was also interpreted in American Sign Language, or ASL. But the same can't be said in Canada. Whether it's last week's tornado in Ottawa or a van attack in Toronto, televised briefings alerting the public about details of the emergencies did not include interpreters.
Welcome, everyone, to the first deaf political rally.
It's a long-held grievance with groups representing the more than 300,000 Canadians who are deaf. Signing is the preferred language.
Isn't closed captioning enough?
I think if you want to maximize accessibility and get the information out there, provide it to a larger audience with captions as well as interpreting services.
Professor Deborah Russell's research in the field of interpretation spans more than 30 years.
There isn't, I think, an awareness perhaps on the part of broadcasters around the importance of accessibility for deaf and hard of hearing people.
A report on accessible emergency communication that Russell co-authored calls the absence of interpreters during televised broadcasts of disasters mind-boggling.
So why isn't it done? New accessibility legislation is making its way through Parliament, but that may take some time to pass.
Interpreters have been used, but it's inconsistent, and nobody seems to be in charge. But life-threatening disasters, like the forest fires in Fort McMurray, Alberta, underscore the need for getting critical information out quickly and to all people.
The earlier we get access to the information, the earlier we could evacuate, and therefore reducing our risks.
A kind of risk that could be prevented, he says, with better training for emergency medical workers and a standard practice of using interpreters during any crisis. Cass Rusi, CBC News, Toronto.
Ahead on the National, her gardener is an accused serial killer. Her home, the scene of gruesome discoveries. An exclusive in-depth interview with the woman whose property is at the center of the Bruce McArthur investigation. Next.
Why would we let an evil person take our life apart? Unacceptable. Not going to happen.
Alleged serial killer Bruce McArthur made a brief video appearance this morning as his case makes its way through the justice system. McArthur is accused of killing 8 men, many of whom had ties to Toronto's gay village. Tonight, we go in depth on a part of the story most people haven't heard. The house at the center of this investigation and the people who live in it. The address on Toronto's Mallory Crescent, where McArthur worked as a landscaper, has become synonymous with the horror of the story. It was mid-January when police first arrived, giving the owners of the home, Karen Fraser and her partner Ron Smith, 20 minutes to pack up and leave. Just over a week later, police announced their first discovery, the remains of 3 people in the large planters seized from the property. Police spent the next few weeks thawing the frozen ground, then digging up the backyard. By spring, 4 more victims were identified from the remains found in those planters. The final discovery came in July after canine units led police to the ravine behind the Mallory Crescent home, and the 8th victim was identified. Throughout all of these terrible twists and turns, our Ioana Remiliotis has stayed in touch with Karen Fraser. Tonight, in a television exclusive, she tells her story.
So the house was built in the 50s, and my father owned it as a rental for a long time. Then I bought it from his estate.
Is this where the police
were most of the time?
In the winter, that's why there's the new grass, because that's where the tent was for forensics.
The police are gone, so is the evidence.
Then it's a small step to make.
Karen Fraser is now left to imagine.
They basically had to do the whole yard. The dogs indicated that there were problems, so. And the
Problems in terms of things that
there were things. I think items of interest is a nice, safe phrase, isn't it?
For months, Karen's home was a crime scene. Her life trapped in a horror story that wouldn't end, as police found the body parts of one victim after another.
The police rappelled down there, and these are the shots that everyone saw of them digging this out.
The last of the remains were found dumped back here this past July.
We thought it was over, that they were just coming here to be thorough, of course, and we didn't think they would find anything. And of course they did within hours. I guess our brains kept saying, there, it's done. There, we're fine now. But it just kept moving. More happened. So yeah, it was harder. It was a very odd time.
The fragments of this story are nightmarish, and Karen still struggles to piece them together. Bruce McArthur, the man accused of murdering 8 men, was her gardener for a decade.
We still have trouble putting the man that we knew together with this alleged serial killer. And no, there was never a hint. No temper. Nothing. Nothing where you look back and say, well, I'm stupid. There it was. I should have seen it. Nothing.
Welcome to today's discussion about media coverage of the Bruce McArthur case.
Yet there has been so much curiosity, especially by the media, fascinated by a murder investigation so vile, it shocked even the most veteran detectives.
Now, all the media were bugging me to give our personal story.
Karen has come here twice now to speak to journalism students at Toronto's Ryerson University.
We had no idea what had happened. We sat for about 4 hours in a very cold police station waiting to be questioned.
She wants them to know how powerless she felt, how she lost control over her own story and is only now getting it back.
It's a bit strange because when you're in the middle of it, you don't realize how big the story is. But talking to the people who will be covering stories, hopefully not like this one, that's part of making it better.
Karen has never had media back here, and this is her first television interview. Questions still overwhelm her.
How did you deal with it? How did you deal with the information of what had happened in your home or outside your home?
Well, a lot of it I really have locked in a cupboard in the back of my mind. And every once in a while, must be an old cupboard because the door pops open on its own. And bits of it try to come out. I'm not ready to see them yet, so I just shut the door. And it doesn't mean it's weighing on me, it's just, it has to be processed. And we don't know everything yet. I think when I think I know everything about what happened or whatever we're going to be able to know, then I'll look at all of it, I would think.
That refusal is a form of protection while she reclaims her story with help. Church volunteers planted flowers in her backyard. The garage, where police found planters with human remains, painted over with a quote honoring kindness.
Karen, you were saying that Ian had you guys over for dinner, or?
And his mom.
She and her partner, Ron Smith, were forced out of their home for weeks while police scoured the property.
How much did you rely on the kindness of your neighbors?
Oh, 1,000,000%. Yeah.
Yeah, saw us through, literally.
Did I?
Because, you know, we had no work, we had no house.
You know, whatever doesn't break you makes you stronger. And we think it's strengthened relations amongst the community, which is particularly good. So every now and then a little bit of good can come out of something really bad. You know, something we all need to keep in mind.
They seem so resolute, but haunted too. On the porch, a candle burns for the victims. A reminder, this was not just a crime scene, it was also a graveyard.
It's appalling. My only bad moments is when my mind wanders to the last few minutes of the victims. And I can barely stand to have that drifting through my mind. So I take that and put it in a box, shove it in the cupboard, shut the door again.
It's clear she's not ready to unleash it all. And yet, she won't leave it all either.
Have you thought of leaving?
Oh, absolutely not. No, it's ours. We loved it. We have a great time. Why would we let an evil person take our life apart? Unacceptable. Not going to happen.
Do you get angry when you think of him?
No. Sad. Just sad.
Sad, why?
Well, he seemed to have a good life. Where on earth did these demons come from? And why would you keep going? It's just beyond me.
And Joanna Remiliotis is here. Joanna, you can hear her there saying, she wants to stay, but I'm imagining people at home thinking, how can she possibly stay?
Well, she says it's her home and it's been her home for decades, and she just refuses to let, as she says, evil control her life. So a lot of it, once the police left, was about reclaiming her home. They painted the garage, and now this weekend they're hosting what they're calling a cleansing ceremony. And that's a really important step, she says. They're bringing religious leaders, people from the community who supported them all this time. And Karen Fraser says this is all about changing the energy of her home.
We just thought if we had three people from different Christian, Muslim point of view coming in and cleaning the spirit of it. It's a continuation of doing the garage, and that really worked.
I know you. I know you've been spending a lot of time with Karen. What is your gut about how she's coping?
She's honest about saying that she's not, in the sense that she's not dwelling on this very horrific reality that unfolded in her backyard. So while she's putting one foot forward, and really you get that sense when you meet her in the piece, she's very stoic. But right now, she says, she's just not at a place where she wants to dwell on what happened. But it's about moving forward and at the same time putting up the fences. One of the worst things, she says, of this has been what she calls the tourists, the gawkers who come by her house. There's so many of them that come by every day. And she hopes that will eventually fade. And at the same time, the story is not over yet. And she's heard that some of the victims' families want to come and visit her property because that's where their loved ones were. So she's open to that. But at some point soon, she hopes that the fences will go up, people will leave, and eventually she can live her life away from the spotlight.
Well, in the moment, just blocking for now. Joanna, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
And up next on The National, this could be a historic midterm election for Native Americans. We'll look at how the Indigenous vote could affect the results, with a candidate hoping to become the first Native American woman elected to Congress.
Yes, it has taken entirely too long. I mean, it's not for lack of trying. Maybe there is some sexism involved.
First, though, a preview of an interview you'll see here on Sunday night. Mark Critch, star of 22 Minutes, proud Newfoundlander, and now the author of a new memoir. I met up with him in his home city on the Rock. I almost didn't come back. Take a look.
I think it's the first time you got a laugh when you had to do this introduction of a play.
Yeah, my first laugh was I was playing the color yellow in the big show at the school concert, and the Archbishop was there and everything. It was a very big deal. I was saying Archbishop, bishop, parents, friends, and pupils, but I'd never see that word, so I'd say pupils, and they'd laugh. And I was like, pupils? And they laugh. Pupils. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Well, I'm getting this laugh. I remember doing that, and a nun just coming and grabbed me and hauling me off. And I'm seeing the bishop gonna, and I'm like, he gets it. He gets it. He loves me. What are you doing? Put me back.
We did an exercise of looking at a bit of the platform of the Green Party and ours, and did a comparison, and we do feel there are a lot of principles, values, and certainly very specific policy measures that match up.
Tonight on The National, a proposal from New Brunswick Premier Brian Gallant. His Liberal Party is reaching out to the Greens, seeking an alliance that would keep the Liberals in power. No party won a majority in Monday's provincial election. The Liberals didn't even win the most seats, but combined with the Greens, they would have more than the Progressive Conservatives.
When it comes to public health, public safety, and protecting youth, our government will never compromise on our commitment to you.
New details tonight on what Ontario's marijuana market will look like when pot becomes legal, October 17th. In a bill set to be introduced tomorrow, the government will not put a cap on the number of retail stores allowed to operate in the province, but there will be a cap on the number a single company can operate. Another key point, any company still operating an illegal pot shop as of October 17th will be blocked from getting a license. And there are reports that one of the Salisbury poisoning suspects is not who he says he is. 2 online investigative websites have identified this man as a highly decorated officer in Russia's military intelligence service. That directly contradicts President Vladimir Putin's claim that both men are civilians. They're wanted in the UK over the nerve agent attacks on former Russian spy Sergei Skripal and his daughter.
Let's turn to the upcoming midterm elections south of the border. When Deb Holland won the primary race in June, she described it as a victory for women and a victory for the working class. But it could also signal a historic step forward for Indigenous people in the United States. If she wins this November, she will become the first Indigenous Congresswoman ever, a fact not lost on a population that's underrepresented at the highest levels of government. The CBC's Kim Brunherber talked to people about the impact her campaign is having in tonight's Dispatch from New Mexico.
The Pueblos of New Mexico. In this community, tradition is baked into the landscape, which is why a stranger admiring these outdoor ovens is ushered inside to taste the bread.
Took one for the road.
But with the midterm elections fast approaching, it doesn't take long before Raymond Aguilar is talking politics.
You can bleep me out all you want, so it's a struggle with Trump, you know.
No matter who's president, around here, he says, distrust of the federal government runs deep. The United States didn't grant Indigenous people the right to vote in federal elections until 1924. For many Indigenous New Mexicans, voting, especially in midterms, isn't usually a priority. But this year could be different. This year, many in and around Albuquerque, like the Aguilars, will finally be able to vote for one of their own.
I think it'll make a lot of difference. And it doesn't even have to be anything in particular. It's just her being there in office.
I'm really happy to be here.
In a gazebo in a park, a political potluck. Nothing unusual here, except the candidate.
Thank you. Nice to see you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
In June, Deb Holland beat 5 other candidates to win the Democratic nomination for New Mexico's 1st congressional district.
I just want to let you know that I am who I am. I'm who I am.
She's a 35th generation New Mexican from the Pueblo of Laguna, a native tribe located about 50 kilometers west of Albuquerque. The longtime Democratic organizer says she woke up one day after the 2016 election expecting to see the first woman president. When that didn't happen, Holland says she got going.
I think the election of President Trump has something to do with a lot of women becoming activists and feeling like they want their voice to be heard. And one way of doing that is running for office.
In the U.S., the first Indigenous congressman was elected more than a century ago. Since then, plenty of Indigenous women have run, but incredibly, if Holland wins, she would be the first.
Yes, it has taken entirely too long. I mean, it's not for lack of trying. Maybe there is some sexism involved.
Nationally, Native Americans make up just 2% of the population, but their vote could swing elections in a handful of states like New Mexico, in which its 23 tribes make up about 10% of the state's population.
We have a lot of catching up to do, and us as activists and organizers and candidates, it's our responsibility to work hard in those underrepresented communities to make sure that they understand that they can be a part of the process.
And Holland's very candidacy could actually swing races in which she isn't even running.
I've had a few Native women call me up and say, thank you, I'm running because you inspired me.
Mark Trahant is the editor of Indian Country Today, a Native American website.
I'm building a graphic of the 10 Native American candidates for Congress.
Trahant has been tracking the record number of Indigenous candidates running this year. But the jury is still out, he says, as to whether the greater number of candidates means a larger Indigenous turnout at the polls.
In President Obama's, both his elections, Indian Country turned out in numbers that they hadn't seen before. So it's kind of a carryover of that. And then 2 years ago, it all disappeared, so now they're figuring out how to get it back.
A challenge since Native Americans turn out to vote less than almost every other ethnic group. But this November, that may change. In a shed attached to a trailer back in the Pueblo of Santo Domingo, Ricardo Cate is hard at work.
So I like turning the tables on, well, the dominant society. Basically, this is where I stick it to the man.
The man, more often than not these days, is President Trump, a cartoonist's dream.
Yeah, it's you can't make this stuff up, all this stuff that's happening.
Cate is the only Native American cartoonist whose work appears in a mainstream daily newspaper. He believes racism against Indigenous people has increased since Trump was elected. So Cate says he's fighting back with his brush.
I could probably come up with a few cartoons about enticing people to come out and vote.
He says he plans to campaign for Deb Holland. For Native Americans, he says, the hope of seeing someone like them on Capitol Hill could make all the difference.
It is definitely a game changer. So, because now we have someone that we can actually, who will understand our plight.
The number to get into the conversation is 1.
Monica Brain produces a national radio show called Native America Calling. Native America is vast, she says, and opinions are not monolithic.
While there's this perspective that Native Americans generally vote Democratic and maybe are liberal leaning, we got lots and lots of calls and folks on the show who were avid supporters of Donald Trump and who really believe that he's what's best for Indian country.
The advantage will go to whichever party can get Indigenous voters to show up at the polls. Slide guitars reverberating off walls lined with cowboy hats and boots. In New Mexico, this is as mainstream as it gets.
You'll make the check out to Holland to our small victory fund.
Another fundraiser for Holland's campaign.
Here you go. Thank you so much.
Holland is running in a heavily Democratic district. So, if voter history is any indication, Holland herself will be making history in November.
I feel really confident that you're gonna pull this off.
The inequities of the past aren't lost on the candidate or her Indigenous supporters. Their ancestors couldn't vote, they say, but they can. Kim Brunhuber, CBC News, Albuquerque, New Mexico.
As Kim mentioned, it's not clear if Holland's candidacy will actually increase Indigenous voter turnout, but she's also not the only one running this year. According to Indian Country Today, roughly 100 other Indigenous people have entered political races. More than half of them are women. Next on The National, President Trump's press conference today was focused? There was a wide range of topics, but we're going to focus on his relationship with the press in our moment of the day.
New York Times?
I would have gotten a bad story in the New York Times, but I will anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter. Okay, we'll do you after that, and then we'll call it quits.
We're kind of thriving, not failing these days.
You're doing very well. Say thank you, Mr. Trump.
So, throughout his presidency, Donald Trump has had a, shall we say, somewhat strained relationship with the media. How's that for an understatement? And that fire was flaming again today during a pretty rare official news conference. While taking questions on a wide range of topics, U.S. President took turns ridiculing, ignoring, and then insulting reporters. We have picked just some of those exchanges from the conference for our moment of the day.
Every time I sit, I take a lot of questions from people that are screaming like maniacs in the back of the room, meaning reporters. People know that a lot of the news is fake, and a lot of the people sitting here are fake. But 20% of them are wonderful, okay? You've been asking a question for 10 minutes, so please sit down. Wow, that's a lot of hands. That's a lot. Steve, go ahead. He's a very high-quality person, this man, but he'll probably hit me with a bad one.
Why,
go ahead, give it to me. Give it to me, Steve. Reuters. Who are you, or where are you from? Yeah, you. Guy looks like he's shocked. That's not. This is going to be not good.
It's going to be good.
The guy looks totally like stunned. Have you ever been picked before for a question?
Yes, sir, but not from President of the
Go
United
ahead.
States.
Go ahead.
New York Times? New York Times?
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
I would have gotten a bad story in the New York Times, but I will anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter. Okay, we'll do you after that, and then we'll call it quits.
We're kind of thriving, not failing these days.
You're doing very well. Yeah. Say thank you, Mr. Trump.
I have so many things to say. One of them is that it is so unusual that this is a rare thing for him to do because he clearly loves it, but he is absolutely right that the New York Times needs to say thank you. The Trump bump is a thing. The New York Times had about 1 million digital subscribers in 2011. They now have close to 3 million and $1 billion in revenue. So, yes, thank you.
Yeah, I wouldn't wait too long, though, for the bouquet to arrive or the thing of fruit. And I was just going to say the same thing as you, Adrian. He clearly thrives in those environments. Like, he becomes a real showman, even though they are very hard to follow.
Yeah, and I mean, no matter what you think of his politics, right, it's hard to deny he is a fast talker. He knows how to control a conversation. And I suppose at the worst of times, I mean, he meanders in such a way that it's sometimes hard to remember what the original question was. And then you throw in dozens of reporters jockeying for position, and well, no wonder you get a scene like that. That is The National for this September 26th. Good night.
Good night.